The waiver wire can be a lot like a wallet sometimes. I mean, sometimes you open it up and you're pleasantly surprised with what you find inside. Other times, like this week, you open your wallet and go, the fuck? What's going on, Headliner Nation? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully you're all doing well out there. Welcome back to the Draft.com studios, where today we're talking about the waiver wire. Is there anything worth a crap on the wire this week for Week 8 fantasy football? Got some quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, a tight end, and maybe some defenses that you should probably look at here for Week 8. Maybe you're dealing with injuries, maybe you're dealing with bye weeks, whatever it may be. Luckily, this week, only 2 teams on bye, Ravens and Cowboys, but there are a few pieces that you're probably going to be missing. That's what we're going to talk about here today. 2 quick things, though, before we get into the names. 1, we're giving away $1,000. Don't forget, the link is down below in the description to another video. You watch that video, leave a comment, and you're entered to win. It's that simple. Drawing is October 31st. Second, I want to have a little fun this week. This little sign that's over my shoulder every single week that I try to put something funny on. I want you guys to make my sign for me this week. Let's get some more ideas out there. Look at it. I don't have very much room. You can't fit very many letters, but let's see what kind of creativeness we can come up with as a community. And you never know, maybe in this week's Start Sit videos, you'll see your message up on the sign. So leave that down below in the comment section, what you would like to see up there here for this week. But now, without any further ado, let's see what's on the waiver wire for Week 8. All right, kick it off the quarterback position. Maybe you've lost Dak Prescott or Lamar Jackson this week and you're looking for an option for Week 8 fantasy football. Well, in a lot of leagues, there's going to be some options. Quarterback's a pretty deep position. However, maybe it's a little thin. Maybe there is no Teddy Bridgewaters or Sam Darnold, something like that, and you're looking for an option. Well, this week, these are some names that are highly available in most leagues. First one up, Ryan Tannehill, Tennessee Titans. We now have a passing attack in Tennessee. This past week against the Chargers, went out there, got the W, threw for 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and had a quarterback rating of 120. We talked about it last week in the wide receiver show, that if Tannehill can come out here and throw the ball down the field, we already know that he has, elite style weapons in A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. They just haven't performed because this has been such a horrible passing attack in Tennessee with Marcus Mariota for the most part, for the better part of a couple years. Now, with Tannehill under center, this really opens up the passing game, and he gets a matchup going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who give up on average 22 fantasy points per game. I like Ryan Tannehill as a great streaming option here for Week 8. Next one up, it's going to be Mason Rudolph of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a few weeks removed from getting knocked out, and they're coming off the bye week. And who do they play coming out of the bye week? Let me think. Oh, it's the Dolphins. Great matchup for the Steelers here. Mason Rudolph's thrown 7 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. Definitely a guy that can move the ball down the field. The offense was a little bit vanilla with Mason Rudolph at first, but I have a feeling here over the past couple weeks, he's kind of going to get that offense opened up a little bit more coming off that bye week. Going to have him well prepared with a great matchup. He is a good streaming option also this week, and only 6% owned in most leagues. Next up, Matt Moore, Kansas City Chiefs. He is not Patrick Mahomes. Do not go out there and expect huge numbers just because he's the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. The floor may be there. He may be a decent play, but that ceiling is nowhere near Mahomes. Yes, he's got the likes of Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, but he's got some tough matchups. Green Bay, Minnesota, Tennessee over the next 3 is not an ideal matchup for a backup quarterback to come in. Now, he's been in the league for a while. He's not a bad option. If you're in a 2-quarterback league, a super flex league, then he becomes a little bit more of somebody that you want to go after because he has that weekly starter upside. However, right now, the ceiling is just a little bit lower for me. He's not somebody that I'm rushing out there to grab. He's only 1% owned, and unless I'm in dire need of a quarterback and there's no other options, personally, I'm not going to pick up Matt Moore. Matt Schaub may get some playing time in Atlanta now. We don't know the extent of the injury to Matt Ryan. He was seen in a walking boot after the game. Matt Schaub is somebody who's been in this league for a long time. He's been a backup. He's been a starter in this league before. And now he gets an offense that has Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Austin Hooper, Mohamed Sanu, Devontae Freeman. And this offense has been kind of stale at times. I was in Atlanta this past weekend, and I went to the Falcons and Rams game. And the offense didn't really move the ball down the field until Schaub came in the game. Now, yes, it was mostly garbage time, but Matt Ryan just held on to the ball way too long. I don't hate Matt Schaub going forward. Now, it's really going to depend on the health of one Matt Ryan, But Matt Schaub does have some decent upside, not, overwhelming upside by any means. He does play Seattle this week, and then he has the bye week, so it's not somebody who you can count on for multiple weeks. But if you're in a pinch looking for a second quarterback, Matt Schaub at 0% owned right now, more than likely is available in every league. On to the running back position. First guy up is going to be Ty Johnson, Detroit Lions. Only 1% owned right now, but I'm not really going to rush to my waiver wire to add him, at least not with a high waiver priority or a bunch of my fab budget. This guy is kind of a one-week option, and I say that because the upcoming schedule is really, really tough for the Detroit Lions. Yes, this week, great matchup going up against the Giants, who just got torched by Chase Edmonds, but after that, they've got matchup with Oakland, 2 against Chicago, Minnesota, Tampa Bay. Some tough run schedules here second half of the season. Plus, we don't know how long Kerryon Johnson, if at all, is going to be out and miss any game time. Even if he does miss game time, Ty Johnson's not going to be in this backfield by himself. J.D. McKissic is another name that's going to be involved here in some shape or form. However, the bulk of the touches will go towards Ty Johnson. Coming into Week 7, he'd only had 17 total touches. In Week 7, he had 14. So yes, the guy is going to be utilized, but as a one-week option, I'm not spending that high waiver priority or a bunch of fab budget to get him. Next up is going to be Mark Walton, running back of the Miami Dolphins. I mean, do we really care about the number one running back in Miami at this point? Kenyon Drake's being shopped. You have Kalen Ballage out there stealing touchdowns and then doing absolutely nothing else. A tough matchup coming up this week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, more than likely, he's available on your waiver wire, only owned in 15% of leagues, but I'm not really in the market for a running back in Miami. They're going to be trailing a lot. They're going to have to throw the ball. Fitzmagic under center, getting Devontae Parker and those other guys involved on the outside. Yes, Mark Walton has done decent for the work that he's been given. I just don't see the ceiling, and for what you may have to pay, other people may pay up for this guy because they see what he did this past week, getting those double-digit carries on the ground. Don't overpay. Don't overspend. If you do need a running back, spend a very, very low waiver priority, maybe a few dollars of your fab budget, but don't break the bank on one Mark Walton. I'm really not that high on him as a whole. Next up, Brian Hill, 0% owned. This is more of a deep league stash. We saw Ito Smith go down this past week. He was carted off the field. They're saying it's only a stinger. We don't know if he's going to miss any time or not, but if he does, Brian Hill becomes intriguing, at least in deeper leagues. This guy played great in the preseason. Everybody was talking about him, and everybody is still concerned with the health of Devontae Freeman for a full 16-game season. If you're worried about that, if you have some room on the end of your bench, stashing Brian Hill and not spending a whole lot for it is not a bad idea. All right, the next two guys are pretty obvious. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on these guys. The reason they're still here is because their ownership isn't over 50% yet, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me. Darrell Henderson, as of right now, is the direct backup to Todd Gurley. That kind of depends on the health of one Malcolm Brown. If he can make it back in Week 8, obviously Darrell Henderson takes a hit in value, but this is somebody who's going to get close to 10 carries a week and could be in line for a huge workload, especially this upcoming week going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. If the Rams can get the lead, more than likely they kind of rest Todd Gurley a little bit, give Darrell Henderson more of an opportunity. It may only be a one-week thing. However, we really need to pay attention to the health of Malcolm Brown. If he sits again, Darrell Henderson is definitely somebody who has some flex play upside here coming up in Week 8, and he's worth a spot on the bottom of your bench if you have room. Chase Edmonds is the other one. Why is Chase Edmonds only 40% owned in the majority of leagues? Now, his upcoming schedule is crazy tough. I mean, he's got a couple against San Francisco, Tampa Bay's in there. I mean, he's got a really tough schedule coming up. But this kid has been absolutely electric and deserves to be owned in almost every league. They're actually starting to work out other running backs in Arizona this week. Like even Spencer Ware is going to go there and work out. If that's the case, I'm starting to worry a little bit more about David Johnson. Chase Edmonds, if he's available in your league, go grab him. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right, on to wide receivers, and the first guy I got listed is going to be Corey Davis, Tennessee Titans, who is 44% owned right now, but I mentioned that we talked about Ryan Tannehill. This passing offense could take a step forward with him under center, and last week we kind of saw it with Corey Davis, right? 6 receptions, 80 yards, and a touchdown. He had a season high in targets, a season high in catches, and now he has a great matchup this week going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who give up on average over 20 fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers. So this is my plan with Corey Davis if he's available. Go out there, grab him off of your waiver wire. Due to this great matchup, he could put together another solid week, and then you could go to other teams in your leagues, other owners, and say, listen, this guy has turned the corner. He has legit value second half of the season, and you could literally go out there, pick somebody up off the waiver wire in week 8, and sell him at his highest value in week 9. There is that opportunity for Corey Davis, so that's something I'm paying attention to here this week. Next up, it's Fantasy Bigfoot. Devontae Parker. There's been sightings now for 3 straight weeks, and I have a feeling it's a little bit because there's some Fitz magic in the air. Now, the Dolphins, they're always going to be losing. They're always going to be trailing. They're always going to have to throw the ball. But last week, Devontae Parker did see 10 targets. Not bad. He's more of a wide receiver 3 with flex upside, and what's really limiting him on a weekly basis is still Preston Williams. This is not a guy that we just should forget about. He doesn't see consistent enough, volume or have that touchdown upside to really add him at a weekly basis. The touchdowns seem to be there right now for Devontae Parker. Seems to be the lead guy in this offense as far as targets go and who Ryan Fitzpatrick looks at the most. Gives him some flex upside if you're looking for, a bye week fill-in or need an injury replacement, especially in deeper leagues. Next up, Kenny Stills, only owned in 12% of leagues, coming off the injury last week. Now we have a hamstring injury to Will Fuller. How much time does he miss? And he's got a great matchup coming up this week, going up against the Oakland Raiders, who are a lot easier to throw on than they are to run on. Now, QT, he's slightly involved in this game plan, and he may limit that upside, but the big play potential, it's there for Kenny Stills. It was there before he got hurt. He's a deep league flex play at best, a bye week fill-in. Kenny Stills right now only 12% owned is a name that I'm looking at. All right, now we're going deep. We're going Olabisi Johnson of the Minnesota Vikings, who's currently 0% owned, so don't worry if you've never heard of him. A lot of people haven't heard of him either. But this is a guy we need to pay attention to here for week 8. Does Adam Thielen play? He's come out and said that he's playing, but with a short week, a Thursday night game, there's a chance that he does not play on Thursday. If that's the case, Olabisi Johnson is in line for more targets, had 8 targets in week 7, and a great matchup coming up against the Washington Redskins with 0% ownership. More than likely, I'm going to say he's available out there if you're really, really needing a wide receiver. Last guy I'm going to talk about is going to be Deontay Johnson, Pittsburgh Steelers. This is somebody who was the favorite target of Mason Rudolph before he went out with that concussion, and now with a great matchup going up against the Miami Dolphins, he has that big upside once again. Only 14% owned, and definitely another name that I would look at here for Week 8. Great DFS options maybe for some of those GPP plays. There are a few other names that I didn't list on here that we should maybe talk about if they're available in your league. Jerron Brown and DK Metcalf of the Seattle Seahawks. Right now, Jerron Brown only 2% owned, DK at 60%. So there's a chance that DK may not be there, but a great matchup this week going up against the Atlanta Falcons. 2 other options that I would look at streaming here this week if needed. And then also Auden Tate. He's only 38% owned still. Doesn't sound like AJ Green is coming back yet. Auden Tate, another one of these guys who has that 50-yard floor, kind of giving you that safe flex option on a weekly basis. Just another name to think about if he's available out there in your leagues. All right, on to tight ends and defenses now. And there's not a whole lot of options for the tight end position. I mean, it's already a thin position to begin with. But Irv Smith Jr. could have some upside if Adam Thielen sits, just like we talked about with Mr. Olabisi a little bit ago. I mean, once Adam Thielen went out, Irv Smith went out this past week, had 6 targets, 5 receptions in Week 7, has a decent matchup coming up against the Washington Redskins. He's a streaming option. He's not a must-start, not a must-add. If you're desperate for a tight end, maybe you had Mark Andrews and there's nothing else available on the waiver wire. Irv Smith is worth a shot here, especially if Adam Thielen sits. Only 1% owned right now. For defenses, it really depends what's available, and these are so hard to tell people who to choose. We get a lot of questions, hey, what defense should I stream? Well, it really depends because there's leagues out there where people will hold on to 2 or 3 defenses. Why? I have no idea. You only need to have one at a time. So the 2 that I'm targeting here this week, first one going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. They may have been dropped this past week because they were on a bye week. If they were, pick them up. They're playing the Dolphins. That's a solid play. Love the Steelers this week. Also, the Green Bay Packers may be available out there, which is kind of They're not overly exciting, but they do get the Chiefs this week that is led by Matt Moore. Can they pressure Matt Moore? Kind of get a little bit of a bounce back game for a solid defense in Green Bay. Those are 2 teams I'm looking at here. All right, those are our waiver wire targets here for Week 8 fantasy football. If there's some other names that may be available in your league, throw them down below in the comment section. We'll try to help you out the best that we can. Just a reminder, go watch that video, giving away $1,000. Leave that comment, get entered. And then also leave a comment down below. What should the sign above me say here for the Start Sit videos? Keep it clean, keep it family friendly. Let's have some fun with it. Let's see what we can come up with. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you later.